Hi, welcome back to Audiophile. I'm Erin Schultz. This is Rick Schultz, and joining us is Peter Isrealson. Back for the second video now, discussing. Last time we talked about amplification, and this time, what are we going to hit?
Well, I just want to talk with Peter about listening preferences. We did the videos with Brecken on listening and what some of the stuff he had as a recording engineer. We intend to do a lot more in that area, but Peter has been a guy that has been doing serious listening since you were actually
a teenager.
Yeah, you were pretty freaking young. I remember you were building audio systems.
Even speakers and stuff as a teenager.
Yeah. So that takes you through a lot of years, I should say, of building electronics and speakers and stuff like that. Eh?
Yeah, played around for a long time, many years.
Right on. So what's your favorite attribute of audio? If you were to pick one thing about audio reproduction and say that's what's important to me, what would that be?
I would say probably the speaker maybe makes the biggest difference.
Okay. And why is that?
It's what's physically producing the music. So it's got the mechanics to work with, and you got the acoustics to work with.
Do you think the speaker is the most challenging thing to make?
Yes, I would say it's the most difficult.
Okay. So if it wasn't for you, the Bafflex 12 wouldn't exist.
It's my bad, huh?
Yeah.
The reason for that, Peter got me into open baffle speakers. I was using a set of electrostats, actually some King Sound electrostats before this, and I really enjoyed them. In fact, before that, I had the flagship Voxit of Ampegio Do.
Very nice speaker.
Yeah, very nice speaker. I had the older driver that was where the wood grain went the wrong way, and they were really quite bright. And then they actually had made the change to the driver, and they changed the way that the wood grain went on them, and it smoothed that driver out just incredibly, and the resolution went up just night and day. So that was a great move when I got the new drivers in there. But the Voxit has been a speaker that I've enjoyed quite a lot. But however, that little King Sound,
They sound good.
yeah, it's a King Sound Prince 2. And I've got a couple of people trying to get them from me, and I've got them up on AudioGon, and I'm just kind of not working with them, am I? Partly because they're relatively inexpensive speakers, and to try to find something that does what they do in that kind of price range is why I don't know how you do it.
That's one thing about, you can always pinpoint someone who's in the industry or has a hobby in audio, is because every time you open a closet or check under a bed, there's some extra audio gear. We used to have a pantry in our basement in our old house, which was like the audio graveyard. There's all this stuff that was manipulated, and something that happened to it or blown up or something, but you can always tell. So yes, these things are still sitting around.
Yeah. So when you're learning about audio, sometimes you learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's been many, many years, I think, before, since something has went sideways on us.
You
now.
just told us that you go running to Peter, so.
Well, I guess that's true because
the amps aren't blowing up.
Yeah.
So Peter might have them all under his desk.
Peter can fix them.
He said he's responsible. So.
Right.
Anyway, so
You're on the playback. I've enjoyed high res. My high res system isn't as full blown as some people might expect. I'm using a Mac Mini with a couple SSDs on it. Yet it's pretty neat, and partly because we've come up with a new product that we'll be introducing fairly soon. I can't really talk with you about yet, but it has to do with increasing resolution quite dramatically. It can be used on digital front ends. It's got nothing to do with magnetism this time. So it's a brand new product that will be coming out in the market. We'll be sharing that with you soon. You've had a chance to take a listen to it. What do you think?
It's amazing. It's a game changer.
It's a game changer, I agree. You know, it's something we've wanted in this industry for a while. I didn't realize that there was going to be such a problem in the area that this stuff works, that it could do what it actually does.
Yeah.
You know, who would have ever thought that there was that much loss to be able to get that much gain back? Now, that being said, I applied a little bit also to my analog rig, and you have never been hugely big on analog. Your preference has always been, it seeming to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, like 44.1 CD playback.
Pretty much. When
Yeah.
they've been, digital done right, then it really brings the music out.
Right.
That's a good advertising slogan. Somebody use that already?
What's that?
Digital done right.
Digital.
It's not a t-shirt.
Right?
I'm going to guarantee that somebody has done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah. He's full of them one-liners.
I have to admit that I have never really dug deep into. I guess it wasn't from lack of trying. We have had some pretty amazing DSD-based front-end equipment, and like for example, the big esoteric piece at the shop. Amazing DSD capabilities, but it never was my go-to. One, the type of music that I like to listen to is rarely available in high res. You're really stuck with, basically audiophile music if you want to listen to that. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but if you're interested in something different, you're not going to find it in SACD or high res.
Right.
And the other part is that, to me, it's got so much more to do with a really good quality, clear recording. I mean, there are so many CDs that are just so far beyond. I'm going to say, and people are really going to hate this, but any DSD or high-res recording that I've ever heard, there are CD playback that I've heard that is just recorded so much better that it just pounds them.
Right. Yes, I agree. I've heard that too.
Yeah. So why not analog? And I know that you're not strictly against it. We do listen to it quite a lot over here.
Yeah. It sounds really good.
Yeah. But it's not necessarily your favorite format. It's not necessarily your go-to format. Why is that?
It's just the work I've done on CD players. I've always tweaked them, rebuilt them and everything, and just got them sounding so much better. You can take it so much further than what's available on the market. So just
Right.
rebuilding them.
Yeah, you certainly have done that with ours, as we talked about earlier in the last episode there. But, and when it comes to vinyl playback, one of the things that you mentioned to me that I haven't forgotten was that you'd done some research on the conversion of what bit rate might be.
Yeah, well, talk about LPs having an average, if they were going to compare it to digital, has a bit rate resolution of about average 9 bits. Poor recording is 8-bit, and a really good recording may be like 10-bit resolution equivalent.
Okay, and in comparison to flat 14-bit on CD?
Correct.
Yeah. So that is quite a bit less information overall, isn't it?
It is.
The advantage to that, I think, is that one of the things that I believe is problematic is not so much that we need a better higher res format of material. I think we need better higher bandwidth audio systems that are capable of actually decoding all the information that's there. Because, I mean, for example, bandwidth of a lot of amplifiers is still 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, which in today's technology of what we're capable of doing with computing and that sort of stuff, that's kind of archaic, isn't it?
It is, and it's also some of these, sometimes when you go to higher res formats, higher sampling frequencies requires clocks that run at higher frequencies, and unfortunately crystals don't really resonate well at high frequencies, so they're creating what they call, you get phase noise, which causes jitter. So even though you're going to higher res, but you are causing handicaps in the digital system by using clocks that are noisier. so
Okay.
amperes.
Oh.
Cool. I've actually heard a few people that have talked about, DSD being something that they feel won't be in the market that terribly long. There are formats that are just simply better now that will be exceeding what we're hearing from DSD stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what I hear too. Don't know enough about it yet, so.
All right. Fair enough.
I don't know anything.
Fair enough.
No, nothing.
So let me ask you though, what is the most important thing when you sit down and listen to an audio system? What's the most important thing to you?
I don't know. I'm still at the space where if I appreciate the music, if it doesn't make me feel stressed out, it's more about the music, what's there, and if it's too, I guess that's technical enough. If it's too edgy, if it's too bright, then I don't want to sit and listen. I want it to feel comfortable when I listen. So I don't know if that
Yeah. I think the term for that is musicality. That's what I use. Just the flow and ebb to a song. And that's something that we've come a long way with in the last while. As we talked about in another video, I was a resolution hound, but I certainly wasn't going for musicality so much. You were witness to that, right?
Right, sure.
And a lot of people, I think, like I said before, I thought that was just craziness, but musicality is something that I find is easy to get. So once you've got the resolution that you're looking for, to bring musicality back in is incredibly easy. Our technology does a really great job of helping to do that.
Both resolution and musicality.
Yeah, music. Yeah, it does both at the same time. But I could just throw shit at you then, and you'd fix it and make it musical.
Right?
I'm gonna try that with the laundry too. See how you do that? I should have answered that way. What's the best thing about listening is that if all my other stuff is done, then I can listen.
No doubt. Always giving a thumbs up to Bob at Star Sound with audio point technology and the racking stuff that he does.
Absolutely. That takes the components to a much higher level.
Yeah. The first time that I ever heard audio point stuff, I was just simply blown away. And it's still the absolute go-to. I've been taken off the trail so many times to try different types of cones and footers that people have recommended, and try them a little bit, and it just always comes back to that something's missing, and go back to the audio point stuff, and it just does life. And I've recommended it to so many customers, and that's not easy to do because typically people have their foot kind of ground in the dirt a little bit on this, and if they like something, they like something. They're not real subject to having an open mind about trying something different. So it hasn't always been easy to get people on the bandwagon, but when they do, man, oh man,
they come back and educate you.
Yeah, it's sure a lot of fun. I think of all of the things that I've done over the years, that was probably the most exciting was the first time I put a speaker on one of Bob's racks. That was crazy. You talked about speakers earlier and how they're the most critical part of the chain. I would have never dreamt that a stand underneath your loudspeaker could make that kind of difference. And we've been manufacturing now for what, 20 years?
Yeah, at least.
More than 20 years. But there's been no speaker that I've ever seen that came with any type of stand, cone, or footer that came remotely close to what Bob's stands have done.
Right.
We kind of utilize that technology into the Baflex 12 and the speaker that we do.
Right.
So yes, we kind of have that worked in, but that was very purposeful because we were so blown away by what Star Sound Technology had done there. So, anyways, you're part of Star Sound too, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, one of the owners. Yeah, that's neat. I keep forgetting about that. But it's true. So also, Power conditioning, I want to cover one last thing. I guess it's off topic a little bit from listening and that sort of stuff, what we were talking about before. But what's your overall feel on power conditioning? Do you just throw as much at it as you possibly can, or what's the?
There's same thing there. There's a lot of trial and error. Some components work, some do not. So you always got a synergy sometimes. So.
Yeah. I find that one of the things to do with power conditioning is, throw it at the system, let it work for a while, and take it back out and see what you got again.
Yeah, exactly.
And because at one point in time I had just tons of transformers in my system, and now I've got a couple, but I don't have tons anymore.
Right.
Isolation transformers seem to do a nice job, but if you overdo them, you just overdo them.
Right. Yes.
So. When you're working with our magnetic technology, the MC5 and the MC1 Pro, for example, one of the things I recommend doing when you're trying those little guys out is, if you're using traditional power conditioning of any type, you might try taking that power conditioning out and using more of like a strip design, power strip, and just using the magnetic power conditioner. Because I have found that with a number of people now, and it's actually quite a growing number, they're finding that a lot of different traditional power conditioners tend to rob you of what I would coin as the process of inductance. So you don't get the same sort of energy back out of these things that you put into them. They're not 100% energy efficient.
Right. Sure.
And that can rob you of dynamics and musicality and things like that. So when you're trying the MC5s and the MC1 Pro, let me just throw that in there. Maybe you want to try them and them alone, without any other type of traditional power conditioning with them, because in many cases you don't need them. Anything else we want to bring up during this episode?
No,
We're all over the map, eh?
We are.
Yeah. But anyways, we had fun. Hope you did too. I'm Rick Schultz.
I'm Peter.
I'm Erin.
We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye now.